On the way back, though, we took the sleeper train, right? And I thought it would be funny if I booked you a bed in just like a random car with all
three
Chinese
other
people.
Chinese people.
Random snoring Chinese people.
And it's 2 bunk beds, and you're in very intimate quarters for 17 hours.
Oh, God.
There was one time I slept the whole 17-hour train ride, and when I woke up, all the Chinese people in my car were gathered around me because they thought I had died. Because I just hadn't moved, and when I finally moved, they're oh, thank God. Thank God.
Welcome back to Oops the Podcast.
All right, lots to unpack here.
I got something for you.
Please. Julio, I don't know where you came up with that idea.
Dude, this guy was a huge turkey.
What is this, Japan?
Which is one of the reasons why I hadn't told you about it.
No, and I also just assumed you were saving it for the pod if you were going to tell me.
Yeah.
Which, of course, you were.
Oh, yeah.
Guys, welcome back to Oops the Podcast. Julio and Francis here.
Here we are.
How you doing, Francis?
Hey.
Hey. So, dude, I got one right off the top.
Ooh, I like that. I like it.
Well,
Dive
Halloween
right in.
is still in our memories. I have a funny thing about my building. Okay, so oftentimes they will put candy out in the lobby. I've talked about this before. There was also candy on my floor. There was a little thing of candy on the floor. So I took a piece. It was right next to the elevator.
Took
I'm
a
like,
piece.
oh, fuck it. And they were nerds. And to be honest, I ate half of them, and then I'm like, dude, I felt nauseous still from just eating a bunch of candy and shit over the weekend. So I was like, fuck this, I don't even want it. Threw the rest out. And later in the day, I told Hillary. She goes, honey, as if that candy wasn't for me. And I'm like, well, the candy was out. Why would I not touch the candy? Why would I not take some? She's like, those are for the kids. And I'm like, all right, whatever. Later that night, we come into the building. There's candy in the lobby. We walk by the podium. The doorman goes, there's candy. And I went, oh, that's an invitation.
Uh-huh.
So I then take a piece of the candy, put it in my pocket. As we get off on our floor, the candy is still there. I start looking through it, and Hillary goes, sweetie. And I go, what? The doorman just said I could take some. She goes, yeah, and I wasn't proud. Dude, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. But, dude, what ended up happening, actually, I went back out into the hallway to see what was up with the candy, and it was gone. Which I realized it wasn't even the building that put the candy out. It was our neighbor.
Oh.
I was taking the neighbor's candy, which is embarrassing, dude. I'm like, he could probably hear So I was a little embarrassed.
Well, I just don't know. Nothing is sadder than when you buy candy for children to trick or treat, and then at the end of the night you go out and barely any of it has been taken.
That's true.
I'd rather that it go to somebody.
Right. I did. It just wasn't a big deal. I don't think it was that big of a deal.
Yeah.
And she goes, she goes, you always think you think everything's for you. I'm like, no, I don't. That's
I don't know.
It's kind of funny.
I don't know. That's a lot.
I think I said it first.
Mm-hmm.
I think I said, I don't know why I think everything's for me. And then she said, you think everything's for you. And we had a little laugh. She wasn't scolding me. I don't want it to come off like that. She's quite nurturing. We got a special guest just walked in.
We got a special guest. We're going to get him set up. We've got one of the only people on Earth who potentially can lay claim to most adventurous traveler in the same way that Julio can. The only person who could vie for that title and have a fighting chance. And that is, of course, the Wonton Don.
Hey, how are you?
It's Donnie Does, our good pal, my good pal, someone that I've traveled near and far with. I like to call, you know what I call him? Guantanamo Bay.
I like that.
BAE.
I love that.
Yeah.
I hope it
that a
catches
lot.
on.
Yeah.
That's very good.
Good to have you, my friend. Thanks for joining us.
It's been a while, I feel like.
Yeah.
Since we've been on the mic together.
That's right. So Donnie has been to some places that you've been to. You've both been
We
to
have some overlap.
Iraq.
Yeah.
And there is a mutual respect, I think, between the two of you as adventurous travelers who are willing to go outside of your comfort zones and see what risky places have to offer. I almost want to sort of just sit back and and listen to you two chat up about the world at large.
Well, let me just first say, I don't know that there's much of a comparison. I mean, Donnie has like a legendary YouTube channel, which, dude, by the way, I got to say, dude, I think you are the best travel content person living.
I appreciate that. The views do not reflect it, but
whatever.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. Dude, honestly, and I mean that, and I can substantiate what I'm saying. Like, you're cool, which is like really goes a long way. A lot of those videos are like the people are kind of dorky. And it makes it like not that fun to watch, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You know, good perspective. And you're great at covering all the shit that you're doing, and you're hilarious.
Thank you. Yeah.
So I really enjoy watching.
There are some people on YouTube that are like so wholesome that it starts to get kind of creepy.
I agree, dude.
Yeah.
It's super weird. Be like, this, like, of the countries I've been to, it's just like, it's really fucking weird.
Yeah. And if there's something you don't love about a country, like, it's fine to say it, you know? Obviously treat the locals that you meet with respect, but yeah. The people want something real, not just
Totally.
That's so nice. Now, Donnie, do you have anything nice to say about Julio?
Dude, that's not what
Yes,
we do,
I do.
It is. This has to happen.
I started watching his vids. I remember I was in the airport in Iraq when you dropped the trailer for your Iraq vid.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, oh, damn, I hope like he doesn't think I'm copying him. Cause,
No.
Yeah, because I didn't know about the series until then. But then I went back and I checked it out. Loved the content. You do the video editing yourself as well, right?
Yeah, you do too?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy.
It is. It's intense.
Yeah. So I'm curious about a couple of things with that. So first of all, I've always wondered, because I haven't really talked to a ton of people who do this. Like, do you ever try to think about a world where you don't have to do it yourself? And like, and I know you've worked on some stuff with editors. Like, what does that look like? Not to get too technical.
Yeah, I feel like just because I've gotten so used to doing it myself that I would want to put the final touches on it.
Yeah.
But I definitely don't need to be the one that like goes through all the footage, because that can just take 2 days. I mean, if I had someone who could go through, take out all the selects, and then I kind of like choose what I want to use.
Totally.
I actually enjoy throwing like in the music. That's
same. Yeah.
That can be fun.
Agreed. It feels nice when you like land something that's sick. You're like, oh, that's dope.
Yeah. But it can also be rough. Like if you film something and you're like, oh, that didn't go great, then you sort of dread having to watch yourself do it all over again.
I have a lot of anxiety the first like 30% of that process, which I'm in right now with like something that I'm with my Afghanistan shit. And it is not fun.
No.
I find myself wanting to do anything but edit. I'm like looking for snacks. I like want to smoke. I want to drink. Like, it's a really like stressful time, dude.
Yeah. I think what you need to get into, because then you don't have to edit, is live streaming, like travel live streaming. It's what Andy Milanakis does.
That's crazy.
So he'll just like travel to Venice and just be hanging out, and he just has like a camera in front of him that you can all just like watch him. So when I was in Venice, someone was like, Andy Milanakis is doing a live stream, and I was like, okay, that's cool. Like, I don't know the guy. I'm not gonna like randomly go and try to find him. But then I watched his stream, and I was like, oh, that's only 5 minutes from my house. So I just like walked up to him while he was streaming, and then he was super nice. We ended up hanging out for the rest of the day.
Sick.
We got a romantic water taxi together.
That's cool.
And that it seems kind of cool, because that's just I don't think you could live stream in Afghanistan. I don't know.
Yeah,
you need a pretty solid.
So theoretically, they're supposed to have a good connection. My shit just like stopped working. They have better connection than Iraq. In Iraq, it was like mostly 3G. I found. I don't know what your experience was, but there was like a 4G in Afghanistan, but for some reason it just wasn't working. And when I got home, I called them because I was getting charged, and they're like, "Oh, it was supposed to work. Like, you should have called this number." I just like made a stupid assumption that like there's some sanctions thing or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was thinking about that too. It's like even when there is stuff in those kind of places, it would be hard to live stream in Iraq probably.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question for you both. So Julio recently, as we know, went to Afghanistan, and he told this incredible story about, basically going to a obligatory dinner, if you will, with the Taliban. And it to me rang as probably one of the scarier moments that you've had
Probably.
traveling. Do you have a scariest moment that you can think of, pinpoint in all of your travels? One where you were like, I'm not sure I'm going to get out of this. I've gone in over my head.
I've never been like attacked by locals or just like been with locals that I feel like they're about to jump me or do something bad. I feel like all my scary travel stories, like I've just gotten into myself by like I was in Laos and I jumped off a trampoline on shrooms. And there was like a safety net around it, and I was like, I'm gonna free willy over this safety net. It's gonna be sick. And so I jumped like over the net, and then I dove directly into like 3 feet of water, where, you know, if I had like landed directly on my head, it would have like broken my neck and probably died. But most of it went on my back. But I like crawled out of it to like this bar. They have all these bars along the river, and the lady, she saw like I was bleeding, banged up. She just handed me a glass of whiskey. And I just remember like sitting down, drinking the whiskey, and the shrooms were kicking in. And I was like, I think I did just die. Like, especially because you look around, you're in like a tropical paradise. Everyone's having a blast. And I was like, is this heaven? Fuck. And then, yeah, I fell asleep in that same place. And when I woke up, like almost everyone had left, and I was just surrounded by chickens. And I was like, all right, I have to get back to town.
Dude, that's amazing.
You fell asleep at the bar?
Yeah, just sitting down. I was probably concussed.
Oh,
Jesus.
God.
Wow.
And
then, yeah, I mean, I got the shit beat out of me in China, but like that was just, I saw a fight happening between like 6 Chinese guys and this one dude from the U.S. who looked like he was 15 years old, and they were just like screaming, fuck foreigners, and like they were, this was right outside of a club, so all of the bouncers were holding them back. And I was hammered at the time, and they were saying, fuck foreigners, and so I just go, no, fuck you, buddy. And the bouncers just let all the guys go, and instead of going after the kid, they all just came directly at me.
Oh my God.
When was that?
That was before you came to visit. That was,
dude, I love that.
That was one of the reasons I started wearing shades in all my vids, because one of the guys punched me directly in the eye, and I couldn't even open one of my eyes for like 1 month. And
oh my God.
Holy shit.
And that's when I was teaching kindergarten, and I had to call up the kindergarten. I was like, I'm gonna wear shades tomorrow. Is that okay? And they were like, no, that's very creepy. And then like I showed them my eye, and they were like, oh yeah, wear the shades. Definitely wear the shades.
Dude, unbelievable.
I think that was like around Christmas time too, so I had to dress up as Santa Claus, and I was just like rocking fake Oakleys and a fake beard.
Wow. That's amazing.
Dude, I have been crushing Mugsy fashion.
Oh my God. It's
Absolutely
all you need.
it.
It's
so
all
good.
you need.
So good.
You can really just crush a head to toe Mugsy outfit, and everyone will say, boy, that guy's dateable.
Dude, and like, I have big hips for a guy, dude. And a lot of the time, if I wear pants that are not flexible enough, I get sort of like animal ears.
Little Dumbo ears.
The pockets flop out. And it'll be a pair of pants that fits me perfectly otherwise. And it's really frustrating. With Mugsy, that does not happen. They sort of form to fit your legs, which is really nice.
They're very flattering. They look good on you. Everyone's been saying it. Everyone's been saying, my God, what did Julio do differently?
Dude, it makes me feel like I fit in, dude.
Does he have a new haircut? Has he lost weight? Is he making more money? None of the above. It's just the jeans from Mugsy.
You dirty dog. 30% off the entire site at Mugsy.com, by the way.
That's right, guys. This is when holiday legends are made. This is the time for you to get an incredible deal on Mugsy. Establish yourself as the greatest gift giver in history, or treat yourself by heading over to Mugsy.com. That's MUGSY.com for up to 30% off the entire site. Full of the most comfortable and best-looking jeans, pants, and tops the world has ever seen. Mugsy.com. No code is needed for up to 30% off your entire order with free shipping and free returns if you don't like them. Experience life-changing comfort with Mugsy.
Dude, so I have a couple like specific questions for you.
Yeah.
First of all, you did a really great video series in Tajikistan.
Yes.
I think I met you right when you had gotten back from it or something, or I forget specifically. But I was wondering, did you get food poisoning over there at all?
No. I didn't. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I was good.
Do you ever get it in places?
Yeah, I got it in the Philippines, and it was the worst of my life. Just like people always joke about peeing out your butt, but this was just like a clear liquid. This was like just water just pouring out of my ass for hours, and I started to get terrified. As I've had very wet shits, but this was not a shit. This was just clear water pouring out of my ass, and so I had to go to the health clinic, which was a shack, and they go, "We need to take a stool sample." So they send me into the bathroom. I like piss shit all over this cup, and they had 0 toilet paper in the bathroom. So I had to walk through the clinic with a shitty asshole and been like, "Here's your sample. Next time, put fucking toilet paper in the bathroom."
Oh my God.
Yeah, that was E. coli. So that was actually very dangerous.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, dude.
That's what that was?
Yeah.
That's the hardest Francis has ever laughed.
Oh
Yes.
my God, dude.
Francis TKO'd, dude. Damn, dude, E. coli.
Yes.
So is that like, is the clear situation an indication of E. coli?
It's an indication that something's really wrong with you. It could be E. coli. And I don't know. I got like a shitty burger at a cockfight, but I don't think it was the meat of the burger. I think it was the lettuce on the burger
the
had
lettuce
been
was what gets
washed
ya.
with
Totally.
lettuce fever.
So, dude, that's the thing that sucks too, is when you're in a situation like that where you don't want to be rude
Yeah.
and people are like making food for you and shit. You just like have to potentially take the L.
Yeah.
Obviously, E. coli you don't want to get, but like, okay, so how long were you sick for though? In that case,
For probably like 3 days.
Okay.
2 days, yeah.
yeah. If it's like past a day and a half, like I would start being really worried too, potentially.
Yeah.
Because I'm used to like the intent. It happens to me. It's been happening to me almost every time I travel to a place that isn't Europe.
Yeah.
Like I'm just getting sick pretty much every single time, and it's always around the same time, like towards the end of the trip, whatever. But it's usually like intense 12 hours, and then like a not so intense 6 hours, and then I'm good.
Okay.
But like whatever.
I know like traveling to India, which is a place I really want to go. Like you just aren't supposed to eat the street food at all.
Yeah.
They tell you to only eat at 5-star
Right.
restaurants, but what's the fun in that?
Agreed. Afghanistan, same type of deal, like same sort of like South Asia scouting report, as far as all that shit goes. I don't know.
How did you first get the bug or the urge to travel to these really exotic countries that most people would never think of traveling to?
Yeah, dude, I think like, well, it depends. Like it's progressed over time. Like I traveled by myself in college one time and like really was like, oh, this is sick.
Yeah.
And then just sort of like didn't have enough money to do it for like a decade, but we kind of like dream of it, but it wasn't like present. I went and did a comedy festival in Rwanda in like 2017, I think. And I made a video.
Yeah.
And, you know, there were a lot of hiccups. I'd never done it before. So like I ended up with only a really short thing, but that like did fairly well for me, like as far as my stuff goes. And then from there I was like, oh, this is sick. And this is validating that this did well. I want to try to do more of it.
Nice.
So that's sort of been, what about for you?
So I actually went abroad to Botswana in college. And,
Really?
Yeah. And we did
Amazing.
we did these 3 different homestays like over the course of the semester, and the last homestay was kind of just in this hut in the middle of nowhere. And my friend's homestay family was just a 22-year-old dude who smoked a bunch of weed. So like we would always go over to his hut and play cards and drink and smoke weed. And like that's when it dawned on me, like even the most exotic places, people are people. And
Totally.
like, and then so yeah, I wanted to keep on exploring. Like that got me to the point where I wasn't terrified of going someplace where you're just completely a fish out of water.
Totally, dude. And I think that's like, it's a fun sort of thing to experience and to just, I don't know, it makes things not seem as scary in general. Having that where you're like, oh, like, I don't know.
I think a solid vid for you guys to do, Francis in particular, is Uganda used to have a lacrosse team. I don't know if they still do, but if you just like showed up and like coach their team for a week,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
That's sick.
Did
That
a
wouldn't be
clinic.
bad.
That's a really good idea.
Uganda's right next to Rwanda.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I was reading when we went to Rwanda, we were there for our honeymoon, and
Yeah.
I was reading a little bit of the sort of history of the genocide, and that there was so much, like a lot of people fled to Uganda. So Uganda, and then back then what was Zaire,
Congo.
the Congo, and Rwanda. There's a lot of sort of overlap and blending of populations and stuff like that in those three countries, and I like that part of Africa. I think it's really, really an interesting part.
It looks incredible.
Yeah.
How did you find a Botswana? Like, where'd you go to school?
I went to Tufts,
Cool.
but it was not a program through them.
Got it.
It was just some other program that you could still get college
Right.
credit to.
Cool.
It wasn't great because the program was only 10 kids. So if you didn't love those kids, you were kind
you're
of
stuck with them.
shit out of luck. But no, it was fun. I made some friends.
Cool.
Speaking really quickly about the not feeling like you can turn down food that's been offered to you. When Donnie and I were in China together, he has this aunt over there who was his cleaning lady.
Yes.
Who became like
She's
his.
literally your aunt.
No, but
Oh,
that's
like
what they call
auntie.
cleaning ladies there.
Got it.
Yeah.
What was her name again? Hu Ai?
Yeah. So I had Huai. You actually went to Gao Ai's.
Oh, Gao
house.
Ai.
I had Huai, who became like almost too Hollywood, and she would be in like all my vids, and she was just craving the spotlight, but then like stopped actually cleaning. But Gao Ai never lost sight of
Stayed
that.
the
Are you
course.
sure
yeah.
it was
Stayed
Gao
the course.
Ai that we?
Yeah, but
Okay.
yeah. I mean, a lot of people in the vids, like, they probably just assume it's all the same IE.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we went there, and she was gonna cook dinner for us, and a bunch of her relatives were there. Her son,
Yeah.
who is he delivers water
Mm-hmm.
in big jugs. Imagine the big Poland Spring jugs that go into a water filled cooler. Yeah. So that's what he does for a living, and they lived in, I don't even know what you would call it, a shack.
Yeah, of sorts. But
Well, there was
it
no fixed roof.
It was homey though, but
No,
yeah,
it was.
Yeah, it was weird. It was kind of like a shack, but it was in one of the nicest parts of Shanghai. But then you just went down one of the alleyways, and there was just like shack.
I mean, it was certainly, the whole home was smaller than this room.
Wow.
And we went to a wet market first to shop for the food, and this is exactly where COVID the type of
This
place
was pre-COVID, but
from
yeah.
which
Yeah.
Yes.
COVID originated. And we were shopping around. She's getting all the stuff to cook this dinner, and then we went back, and we were kind of just chilling and helping out, shucking some corn or something. I don't know what we were doing, but she cooked up this feast, and we then sat on the bed and converted the bed or something into a table.
Yep. Or maybe put like a board over the water coolers. Or
That's
something
right.
like that. Yeah.
All the water coolers, and then put a board over that and used that as the table, and then sat on the bed and then had a couple chairs around it. And then her son was obsessed with us getting drunk.
As most Chinese people are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And was making us drink Bud Heavy 40s.
Oh my God.
Bud Heavy 40s
Jesus.
is what we were drinking.
And some Baijiu. That was the bad part.
Oh, it's
Is it
disgusting.
like rice wine or something?
Yeah,
Super
but it's
strong.
it's so bad. It's weird. Like sake and sochu are rice wine too.
They're amazing.
Yeah, they taste so good. I don't know. China couldn't really figure it out, but I think it is the most alcoholic version.
Interesting.
So yeah,
So we're getting banged up, and she cooked a feast for us. I mean, there were 7 or 8 different dishes and huge quantities of it, and it was all so good. But I was very wary of the
Yeah.
salad she made,
Yeah, dude. That's what'll get you.
and I didn't eat it. And I always worried I'd been so rude not to have.
no, I think that was smart.
Yeah.
Probably.
Do you think she's aware of our Western fear of that?
No. Well, like cold salads in China are really rare. So I think the only reason she prepared it is because she's like, oh, I have some Westerners coming over. They might
They like
want
salads.
this.
Which makes me feel even worse.
Yeah.
It's fine.
But that was a very Chinese experience. That was probably the most Chinese experience we had,
Yes.
I would say.
for sure. I mean, yeah, that was more Chinese than going to IKEA or the statue of Stefan Marbury.
Dude, that's so funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that was cool. We did that, and we were getting pretty drunk on those 40s because he would take a huge swig and then hand it to me and then make fun of me if I didn't swig for as long as he had.
I like that.
Yeah.
A couple lads getting into it.
Yeah.
Dude, I don't think I've seen his videos that you're in.
I'll
gotta
I'll have
those.
to.
Some of
repost
them are
those.
really good.
I gotta see those.
They
Yeah.
came out good.
I've seen, dude. Obviously, your China shit's legendary. I've seen it.
Yes,
It's amazing.
and we had a friend helping us out there. I was friends with a really good camera guy there, so
Yeah.
he helped us out a bunch.
Huge.
Yeah, you just go on YouTube. Franny does China, but I might post some of them on my new channel now.
Yeah.
Sick.
We took the bullet train from Shanghai up to Beijing, and it was I don't know, 5-hour train ride, and we were going 250, 300 miles an hour. It's insane.
Jesus.
I'm not sure exactly what it was.
On the way back though, we took the sleeper train, right? And I
Yeah.
I thought it would be funny if I booked you a bed in just like a random car with all
three
Chinese
other
people.
Chinese people.
Random
Yeah.
snoring Chinese
And
people.
it's 2 bunk beds, and you're in very intimate quarters for 17
Oh
hours.
God, dude.
I sleep so well on those though. Like something about the sound of the train, they just put me to
puts you
bed.
out.
There was one
Yeah.
time I slept the whole like 17-hour train ride, and when I woke up, like all the Chinese people in my car were like gathered around me because they thought I had died because I just like hadn't moved. And like when I finally moved, they're like, oh, thank God, thank God.
You're in a coma.
Yeah, I just like hadn't slept for
Oh my God.
a day or two. Are there some places where you wouldn't go? Because like when I heard you went to Afghanistan, I was like shocked because I just didn't know that was even an option.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. There are like honestly more just like breaks down to like a logistics thing. Like if there's a place where I need like private security,
Yeah.
I just don't think I can afford it. You know what I mean?
Somalia, I hear, is extremely dangerous.
I was planning Somalia.
Yeah.
We have a person who listens to the pod who like used to be in politics there. She was like super helpful. But it's basically like you need to have private security.
Yeah.
So, and even though it's visa on arrival, like you need an invitation. And I think that your like tour group has the private security too. It's just like super expensive. It's like thousands of dollars a day. And I'm like, that's going to suck. You know what I mean? And I know you can do like Somaliland, but that like doesn't really count. It's sort of like Kurdistan to Iraq. Did you go to Kurdistan?
No, we didn't have
I'd
time.
like to.
Yeah.
It seems sick.
It was funny when we were so first we were in Turkey filming around, and I was with John Kelly and then this guy Tom who just loves to travel, loves to plan things out. So I was like, you're welcome to come along. So he was with us for the whole trip, and he had booked a flight to Iraq, and his sister back home like found out he was going a day before and like completely freaked out and called him up and like made him cancel his whole trip.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Yeah, which
Yeah.
like sucks for him because then when you like watch the vids, you're like, oh, this does not seem bad
Dude,
at all.
It is
Yeah.
so like I'm actually blown away by how much the like concept, like how people conceive what it's like going to be like or perceive, what it's going to be like versus what it's actually like.
Yeah,
Like how different those two things are is like truly fascinating and mind blowing to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like I get that, like, and as you know, like driving around is like would be annoying if you did it solo because of the like security people just wouldn't know what the fuck was going on.
Yeah.
But everybody's super nice, even those guys, you know. And you were in southern Iraq mostly, right?
yeah,
Like you went to the marshes.
yes,
Okay, yeah. So like, dude, it's like not an intimidating trip. I would bring my girlfriend.
mm-hmm.
You know, Afghanistan is not like that, but it's just like it's still like fine, but like definitely much more intense
yeah.
than Iraq. Iraq's like, oh, this is like you can like go to Starbucks basically, not actually, but you know what I mean. Coffee shops, all the shit.
What's your holy grail trip?
Ooh, I don't know. It would be kind of cool to go down to Peru and do ayahuasca. But I don't know if I would want to like film that. It's a very like personal experience for people, like kind of. But it'd probably be very interesting content. I don't know if that's my holy grail though. I'd have to put some more thought into that. I mean, I've been trying to go to India for a while, They have this event there called the Rural Olympics, and it's just in the Indian countryside, and people are competing in like the craziest sports ever. They have like tractor racing, bull races, like kabaddi, which is like professional tag.
Dude, how do you find this shit? Like, that's one of the things I really love about your work is like you find like the funniest shit to do. Like, how much time do you spend looking for stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these things I'll just hear things over the years, and I'll definitely always keep them in mind, being like, I got to do that at some point. But no, it's pretty just once I know where I'm going, you kind of just search like weird India, like strange, off the beaten path, and you can usually find some things.
Dude, your Booskachi video is like maybe the funniest thing I've ever seen.
Yes, that was
the
awesome.
Selfie cam, like escaping everybody. I was like, this is amazing.
What was, I don't know if I've seen that one.
Booskachi is headless goat polo.
Oh,
but
yeah. I did see that.
It's hilarious. Like, I went there just to film that vid, but then like the most popular vids ended up being any vid I filmed with my guy Jamal. So I got really lucky. I just had a guy that was hilarious and loved being on camera. I'm trying to bring him to the U.S. Like,
amazing.
I feel like that would be a cool change of pace from all the travel series. If you could bring someone like him who's hilarious, who it's always been his dream to go to the U.S., but he's never been able to, and just like show him around for 2 weeks and stuff.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you guys did the Premier Highway, it looked like, right?
Yes, I believe so.
That was sick, dude. What a cool, so like incredible mountains, incredible nature, like, right, situation.
Yeah.
Effectively.
It was really beautiful. I felt like Jamal just like drove us 12 hours there and then drove us back. Like, we didn't like do anything there, but the scenery was incredible.
Phenomenal. Right?
Cool.
Yeah.
So what's next for you?
The World Cup.
Sick.
The Qatar World Cup. Just found someone to secure Jack Daniels for me on the ground there. The World Cup is going to be a really stressful trip, because normally I film and then I'll put the videos out a month or two later, but you want to put out these vids while it's going on, so it's relevant. So it'll be like probably filming and then later in the day trying to edit.
Wow.
Stuff like
you
that.
Gonna do it?
I will be with one camera guy who will hopefully be helping out.
Yeah.
Who are you taking?
Michelangelo.
Oh, nice.
I've never filmed with him in the past.
Nice.
Dude, that's sick.
Okay. Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
What country's cuisine is your favorite?
I would say Japanese. Just like when you're traveling, like not here in the U.S., but I would say the most fun I've had eating in a foreign country has been in Japan.
And what were the things that were so good there?
Pretty much everything. Like, even if you go into a 7-Eleven, like all the snacks, they have sushi in the 7-Eleven that is probably better than the sushi you can get on this block. The steak there is incredible. And then the weirdest thing I ate that ended up being delicious was raw horse.
Wow.
Yeah.
Jesus.
That's crazy.
Would you eat that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
Especially from Japan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You
It's
know
like
what I mean?
a delicacy there.
Yeah.
And then Thailand is just like all the food is so cheap and so delicious and flavorful. How about you?
Man,
I don't know who you're talking to.
Well, no, I was going to say, because like Francis, you've done your fair share of traveling.
Yeah, I have. Nothing like you two, though.
But
what about you, G?
Man, I don't really know. I have to think about it for a while. I really love like Middle Eastern food. Like Lebanon had like amazing food. That like whole area. It's really hard to say, dude. I think obviously Europe. I've never been to Japan. I'm sure Japan would be up there.
Are you Italian?
Yeah.
Have you spent a lot of time there?
Yeah, I've gone like a bunch, and it's funny. This year was the first time I ever went for something that wasn't just chilling with family.
Mm-hmm.
So the way that everybody tells these stories about Italy, and like I'm just like used to going to the town that like my grandparents lived in, and just like chilling there and not doing much.
Yeah.
Still, obviously eating amazing food. All like, every single person cooks amazing. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like there'll be a lady with no teeth who like makes the best food you've ever eaten. You know what I mean? Like I don't know.
Yeah, I loved all the food there except for in Venice. I didn't think, because I
interesting.
just think there's so many tourists there that a lot of the places just cater and serve the most basic stuff.
Yeah.
And like they're known for their seafood, but their seafood is like the sardines, cuttlefish, anchovies, and things like that. But
No good.
yeah, I mean, but I'm not really complaining. I've eaten a lot grosser stuff. Have you ever heard of the sport Calcio Storico? Or
No.
I've seen there was a Netflix. It's the MMA meets rugby.
yes, yeah.
There was a Netflix doc that did an episode on it
Yeah.
that I watched recently.
Yes.
It's pretty brutal.
So what is it
Yeah.
exactly?
So they play it once a year in Florence, and I guess they've been playing it since the 1500s.
Wow.
And the teams are based on the neighborhood of the city that you're from. So that's a really cool aspect to like these people you've known your whole life.
Yeah.
And then just like in soccer, you have to get the ball into the opposing team's net. You can use your hands and your feet, but then you can punch people in the face. you can kick them. You can choke them.
That's amazing.
MMA with
That
And
is
so and it's
Fucking
27 on 27. And so
it's just a
normally there's
brawl.
just like a few people focused on the ball. The rest of the people are focused on just beating the shit out of the player across from them.
Dude, that's fucking crazy.
Yeah, it was probably the most vicious thing I've ever seen.
That's
which
nuts.
People
yeah,
get really hurt, right?
yeah, I saw
it's
people
bare
afterwards.
It's
Yeah,
fucked up.
it was,
Bare knuckle.
Yeah,
and
it's
they're
like
ripped, like they're in MMA fighting shape. They train all the time.
Oh my god.
yeah, it's one of the craziest things I've seen, and you would think like that would be in a more exotic country than Italy, but
Totally.
yeah.
So that's the thing too, man. Like there's always good shit to uncover that like you've never heard of or people have never heard of, and it's like endless. So to me sometimes it can be overwhelming. Like I have a question for you. Like when you go and shoot this stuff, like to what degree are you like trying to like fully plan it in advance versus obviously knowing you're going to pick stuff up like while you're there? So that's like the first part of the question. So I guess I'll let you.
If I'm doing it as like a series, I try to at least like have the ideas down. Like, okay, this could be a video, this could be a video, and
Right.
kind of map it out like that. And then whatever else you get is bonus, and sometimes something completely different comes up. But I like to map it out so I know I'll at least have those vids.
Right. Yeah. That's like, I guess similar to what I do. What about, okay, while you're like, to what degree are you just like trying to roll as much as possible, like with the camera?
I try to roll a lot. And yeah, it's always a pain in the ass when like afterwards you're like, why did I
Dude.
roll so much?
I know. It's crazy.
Yeah, you kind of. I think it's actually better just to pick
Be
your punches
specific.
a little bit. But yeah, I just like if something random comes up, it also depends. Like if I have a camera guy, I have like my own personal small camera, so I don't have to keep on like telling him,
Yeah,
hey,
yeah. Hey,
film
get that, get
film
that.
this, film that.
Yeah.
So like that helps a lot just to have your own thing if you see something cool.
Totally. And the iPhone can shoot in the new iPhone can shoot in ProRes too,
Yeah.
which is crazy. It's hard to match up after kind of, which is
Yeah.
annoying, but like whatever.
It's pretty good.
Still fine, yeah.
You had a really interesting experience recently. You've been in and out of China for so long. That's sort of been your home away from home.
Yes.
For the better part of a decade, probably. And with COVID, you finally said, "I'm not sure that this is a place I should be anymore."
Yeah, but I had actually left China right before COVID. I came home for the holidays. And then while I was in the U.S., COVID got really bad over there, and then it spread here, and then they closed the borders. And so I didn't even have the option of going back. But I was planning on leaving, like I was probably going to leave in the fall, but I ended up just having to leave around Christmas because I wasn't allowed back.
And
yeah.
didn't you realize though that things were getting a little less welcoming to Americans, to foreigners?
Yes, they were kind of just like looking for excuses to kick foreigners out. So they would do these random drug tests where at like 2 a.m., 3 a.m. in a club, they would like close the doors and the cops would come in and make all the foreigners pee in a cup.
Oh my God.
Or every once in a while they would come in and just like shave a patch of your hair off.
Oh, to like test the follicles?
Yeah, to like
Jesus.
test that. And then like if you tested positive for weed, you were either kicked out of the country or you could do 2 weeks in jail or something.
It's so weird. When we
crazy.
were there, and we were there in 2018 probably, or
Yes.
17 or something, 18 maybe. You had a couple friends who were expats.
Yes.
And you guys were like would rove around and we'd have a lot of fun and went to some bars and
Oh yeah, my first 5 years like the most fun of my life, I'd say.
yeah, and we were,
It's crazy.
they were showing me after he and I had finished our 6 days of shooting, we had one night to go out with all these guys and it was really fun and they were all just normal Americans. Some of them spoke really good Mandarin. And at one point we were just walking out in the street and one of them lit up a joint.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? How on earth is that possible? And you said that weed was so rare that the police didn't know it when they saw it.
That's crazy.
Yeah, like we used to smoke in cabs on the way home, and if they said anything, you'd just be like, it's an American cigarette. And they'd be like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they just like it was so
That's
it was
sick,
so
dude.
foreign that you were safe. I remember we were just smoking it outside. And clearly that changed.
Yes, that did change. I'm sure one of the kids you were with did get kicked out for weed.
Is that right?
Yeah.
That's
I don't know if
crazy.
it was
The red-haired guy?
no, the red-haired kid actually just went back to China.
Oh wow.
He got a job there.
Jeez.
And we were like, are you sure you want to do that? Like you smoke a lot of weed. And he was like, no. And he was like, I think that's why I want to do it, because I'll be forced to not smoke a bunch of weed
That's crazy.
if I go back. But
I see.
yeah, I mean, I'm still not allowed to travel to China, but if you get like a job there, you can get a permit.
So you specifically, or just like
No,
Americans?
just like
Yeah. It's close to.
yeah, tourists
Yeah.
in general aren't allowed to go.
Do you miss it at all?
Yeah, I do, just because like I never got to say goodbye.
Yeah.
It was just like, boom, you're not coming back.
Crazy.
So if they did reopen the borders, like I'd love to go back for 2 weeks or something like that. But I don't plan to move back there full time. I did think of a really fun series that could be my holy grail. It's called Marco Polo, and you retrace Marco Polo's journey from Venice, Italy to Beijing.
Oh, that's sick.
That's cool.
Like these
You
Central
probably
Asian
have to
stuff?
go through like Afghanistan.
Would you
Yeah.
be on a boat? Would you do it on a boat?
He did it. His first trip, he did it through land, so I'd have
Oh,
to
wow.
go like overland.
Cool.
I wonder, Iran. You think Iran's in that? Too?
Yeah, but you could probably avoid it if you wanted it
If you
to.
wanted to.
Would you want to go to Iran? Like, are we allowed to go there? Or?
Yeah, I would. I believe so. It's annoying as an American. Like you need to be on like some kind of tour,
Yeah.
but it's not the same as like a North Korea tour.
Yeah.
Like I think there's like flexibility, and I think that like besides obviously like a lot of the political unrest and like sort of cultural differences, I think it's like supposed to be an incredible trip.
Yeah. No,
You know.
it's supposed to be a beautiful country.
Beautiful, rich, like culture, obviously all sorts of amazing food. Like, I would definitely do that. I think like I would like to go to Antarctica.
Yes. Someone was telling me that like in the south of Argentina, they have like a ferry that goes to Antarctica and you can ski for the day.
What?
I was like, I don't know. It sounded crazy to me. I haven't
I don't know.
looked into
Wow,
it,
that's
but
wild.
I was like, I didn't think they had a ski resort on Antarctica. I feel like
That's sick if they do.
I would have known
Yeah.
that.
So like I've heard something similar, but just that if you go to Argentina and try to bargain, you can get a much better deal on the barges that'll take you there, basically.
Yeah.
But I've also heard that it's like the most treacherous journey like you'll ever take by sea in your life. And like you are going to get sick, like for sure, basically. So like these friends of mine I know are going, and they're paying like a ridiculous amount of money to go.
Yeah.
But like they're going to be monitored by doctors and have IVs. Like that's like how bad
Jeez.
it is supposedly.
Wow.
And I don't know if how much I would like want to put up with that,
That's a nightmare.
especially knowing that you have to come back.
Yeah, I didn't know it was that brutal. I thought if he like went in the summer, maybe it was calmer. But
Maybe
probably-
you could be right. I don't know much about it, which is probably why it's so exciting. The idea of it. But that could be sick.
that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, South America in general is such a cool area that I haven't really explored at all.
What now that you're here, do you find that your lust for travel has diminished or is it stronger?
I think it's about the same right now. It's nice having it's nice knowing I can come back here and be hanging out for 1 or 2 months and then do another trip. I think it's more like thinking down the line, like if in 5 years, say if I'm married or have a kid, like
Aren't you engaged?
I am engaged, but I'm not married yet. But yes, yeah,
Congrats.
yes, I think I will be married. I don't know if
in
I'll
5 years
have
if
a
I'm
kid.
married.
Yes, I don't know if we'll have a kid, but yeah, I mean that could be a little exhausting.
Mm-hmm.
We have kids in the office that have never left the country. I feel like it'd be really fun to take a few of them outside
Totally.
of the country just for 5 days.
Yeah.
I brought Nick to Tijuana. That was his first time leaving the country.
Oh,
Really?
That's
Yeah.
amazing. Did he have?
He was
a
pretty
time?
scared, but yeah, he ended up having
Yeah,
a good time. But I don't know, when you just have never left the country, you're just like,
you got it.
yeah. And Tijuana's not I guess you kind of have a little bit of a reason to be scared
Yeah.
in Tijuana, but no, as long as you're smart, I found if you don't go looking for trouble, then most of the time you can avoid trouble.
Agreed. I agree with that for sure. Famous last words, but
Yeah.
I've always thought that the idea of that is funny. Like I had a friend who I was thinking about doing this to. I don't think he's ever left the country. Just not telling him where we're going
Yes.
and bringing him somewhere insane for a person who's never left the country. Like bringing him to Iraq, for example. That was I sort of had that idea before I was like, fuck it. But that's he wouldn't even know where the fuck we're going. If we're flying into Basra, he doesn't know where Basra is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it would actually be an easy thing to execute potentially. It's kind of funny.
Yeah, he wouldn't have
You have no
time
fucking
to get
idea.
scared or anything like that.
Right. And then by the
Yeah.
time we're there, it's like, all right. But then I also kind of worry about doing that to someone because A, it's kind of mean. B, are they going to be as good as you hoped in the video? Are they going to overstep and not know how to behave? Or are they going to be all scared? I don't know. I guess it's funny either way, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe someday Barstool will do their own version of The Amazing Race because now we're just trying to pump out all these reality shows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
We
fun.
actually auditioned for The Amazing Race.
You guys would be solid.
We
on it.
really did. We auditioned for it with a casting
I
director.
know. Which was kind of odd.
And we never heard back from
Yeah,
her.
that's true. We didn't get past the first appointment.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was a Harvard guy in China that was on the
Yeah, Ryan Burke.
Ryan Burke.
Yeah.
He was on the Chinese Amazing Race.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
He's a lunatic.
He is a
Absolute lunatic.
I like him now. The first time I met him, he's very intense, but he's a good guy.
He's just very hyperactive.
Yes.
Yeah.
Love it. I love it, dude.
Yeah.
Okay, real quick, before we wrap it up, you had said that you had a good Halloween story.
Oh, it's not a good Halloween story, but it's kind of just an unfortunate one.
I'd love to hear it.
Well, I don't know if you saw that meme, but it was the guy was handing out crab rangoons instead of candy, and I just had a couple leftover crab rangoons in my fridge. So I was like, all right, the next trick or treaters that come, I'm gonna say, do you want candy or crab rangoons? And so I opened the door and I'm like, candy or crab rangoons, and then I realized the kids were Asian. And
Oh.
and they probably just thought I was trying to be a racist asshole.
Oh my god.
They didn't have a super negative reaction to it, but then I felt bad about it. My fiance was horrified. She's like, "You just offered those Asian kids crab rangoons."
Were they in costume, or you
Yeah.
just didn't think twice? You couldn't see their faces, or
Yeah, they were wearing a mask. So at first I couldn't tell, and then I realized.
they did the big reveal.
Yeah,
Dude,
but
I'm sorry, dude.
hoping they didn't hear me.
You meant well, dude.
Yes, I did. I meant well.
You meant well.
Love it.
All
Well,
right,
that's Donnie Does, everybody. thank you so much for joining us
Dude,
today.
great to have you on.
It'd be
Yeah.
fun to see the two of you travel somewhere together.
Yeah, one
I
of these
think.
days. it'll be
I'm
fun,
open to
man.
it for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah,
That'd be
sick.
cool.
Yeah, because you usually pay for like all the trips yourself, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, now that you're working for Barstool,
Yeah.
if we could ever get a joint trip approved, you wouldn't have to pay for it.
Which would be
Nice.
fucking
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Unreal.
Check out Donnie Does on his YouTube channel. He's really got some hits. Go back and watch the Shark Night series. That's probably my favorite thing I've ever seen from you.
Yeah.
The Roger
I think so,
Federer
too.
lookalike video. Did
Yeah,
you watch
it's
that?
like-
I sent,
yeah, it's
sent that to
amazing.
Julio the other day.
Hilarious.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us, pal.
Okay, why don't we do an email real quick?
Yeah,
good
an
to have
email.
Donnie on, man. You guys definitely check out his stuff. I really like. He's an inspiration to me. It's even talking in the same conversation as him as if we're equals is like it was absurd to me because we're not. First of all, we're not, and secondly,
I think you're selling yourself short again.
maybe, but like, dude, he just has such a body of work. He's
Yeah.
such a substantial footprint. I mean, he is the gold standard, in my opinion. So.
High praise.
Check him out. He really is good. Okay, so this is a stand-up question.
Okay.
And this question is so obvious to me and you, but I realize that people maybe don't know this stuff. So I think that this is a good thing for us to tackle. So this is a question. I hope this isn't like asking a magician to reveal his secrets, but I'm interested in hearing both of your experience with reusing material at different live shows. I imagine it's impossible to come up with new material for every show. So how do you manage to fill up multiple shows in a weekend? Is there ever concern that fans who come to multiple shows will hear the same jokes? Do you reuse material more often when you travel to other cities under the assumption that fans didn't see your set prior to the weekend? Thanks for your insights. Become very interested in the work that goes into stand-up comedy and appreciate your skill and wit that comics like you guys possess. Would love to see a show out in Chicago if you guys have plans to stop by. November 26th. Okay.
Yeah, we reuse material
All the time.
All the time. You have to.
And it's not because you're reusing it, it's because you are making it better. That's
Yeah.
part of it too. So for example, if we're doing a weekend, I don't know about you, like my hour will be similar for that entire weekend, 100%. And no, it's unusual for people to come to multiple shows in the same weekend,
Right.
the same person. And if they did, I think most of the time expect that you're going to have a similar set. Not all, like I'll never have exactly the same show. I might say I say stuff differently most of the time, but like the bones will be the same.
Right.
And then of course different stuff happens in the crowd. It's never going to be the same, but material wise, it's not uncommon to use a similar version of your set.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I mean, you're always tightening. I think, trying to tell the same joke in a slightly different way to see if you can improve it or add something to it or connect it better to the next thing. I think a stand-up act should be sort of a living thing,
Agreed.
an amorphous thing, and just allow it to change and improve, hopefully. And frankly, you can't do it the exact same way each time, because I find if I tell a joke the same way a certain number of times, I get sick of it.
Totally.
Then if I get sick of it, the audience somehow innately senses.
It's amazing. I always wonder how they've discovered that.
They're like, you don't believe that anymore.
Right.
We can tell you've said that 1,000 times, and
Yeah.
so we're not buying it. And
It's like using a pickup line with confidence versus using it without confidence.
bingo.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy.
So yeah, that's that.
Yeah. And also, like, this is the thing, too. Like, different comedians have different styles with this kind of stuff. In New York City, we're typically doing shorter sets than we're doing on the road. So, like, 15 minutes, I would say, is probably like average if you're like doing it at a club. And some comedians will do the same set for a very long amount of time,
Totally.
and others won't. I definitely mix it up, but it'll depend. So like for a week or two, I'll like really like a certain set, and I'll be doing some version of that. And slowly over time, it just evolves. One thing goes in, one thing comes out. Before you know it, it's a completely different set. And it's interesting. It's interesting that like people don't just know that. I need to remind myself that like things that are obvious to me as a comedian are not obvious to people in general.
Right.
But yeah, good question.
Cool. Okay. Facts with Ryan. Facts with Ryan. Were they lying? Facts with Ryan.
I have a couple today.
Couple today.
Yeah.
Bullet trains. The max speed on average is 185 to 200 miles per hour.
I was way off.
Still crazy.
I
You
said 300.
You said 250
Okay.
or something.
Then I
right?
think I went up to 300.
What was that like? Like, what did you see?
It's cool. It's cool. It's fast.
Does video do it justice, or is it something you need to experience?
You you do. It's cool to experience. It's a little spooky. You can't, like, when you get up to walk to the cafe car, you know, you're moving around a little.
Interesting.
It's not super smooth.
Interesting.
But it's smooth enough, and it gets you a long way in a very short period of time.
Yeah.
Cool.
Because
we
then
don't have 'em.
we did the sleeper train back, and as we said, that was 17
forever.
hours, and we weren't like going super slowly on that, you know. But the bullet train just was like such an absurd speed.
Yeah. Dude, there's a really fun like luxury railway in Iran that I think would be a fun way to see the country. Where
That's
like
cool.
you have like your own little apartment on the channel, whatever.
That's cool.
Side note.
All right,
Awesome, bro.
G, where can we find you?
November 12th, Blind Pig, Ann Arbor. I think that's this weekend. Would love to see you there. And then November 26th, the Den Theater in Chicago. Looking forward to that. Those tickets may not last very long. Recommend getting them while you can. And that's it. How about
Cool.
you?
I've got my tour coming up. That will go on sale at some point in the nearish future. Just stay tuned. Keep you posted. Hope to see some of you out there. Thanks, guys.